All right, good afternoon. And yes, welcome to a Monday edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast as I'm broadcasting here in beautiful West Melbourne in my new office, which we just set up on Friday. There's still some construction that's going on behind the scenes. But yes, we are here in our new office studio. Still going to be doing stuff from home as well. And then we're going to make some more transitions behind the scenes. But yes, for right now, for a Monday, yes, here is the show from my office. So, yes, hello. Hope you had a great weekend. We got to get right into it. And before we do, this is very key. Just want to say, hey, we are broadcasting from the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys Studios. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys. We're going to have some fun today. Yes, I sat down this morning with my good friend, former head basketball coach there at Eastern Florida. He now just completed year one as the coach at UTMartin. His name is Jeremy Shulman. He's going to join us here in a couple minutes. Also, my good friend, and I know everyone's my friend, yes, Chris Bonanno with the Vieira Voice and the head baseball coach at Cocoa High School. We're going to talk to both those gentlemen today. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the Gators. The Gators, man, they played early yesterday. It was noon, 12:30 with the tip-off. That was a fantastic game. That was. They win by 2, 77-75 against the two-time defending champion UConn Huskies. And that was a big-time win for the basketball program. It really was. First off, I like the early game. I did, because that ended around like 2:30 or so, and I was like, okay, I like this. This is better than these like 8 o'clock at night tips, and that was nice. And I said this last night on News 13. I'll tell it to you right now. That was one of those games where you knew going in this was going to be a dogfight. This wasn't going to be pretty, and the Gators had to show up and play great basketball for 40 minutes. They had to play an ugly grinder type game. That's what UConn wanted to do. That's what UConn got. And it almost knocked off the Gators. It almost did. Almost. But no, it didn't. Gators made too many plays late. I didn't understand. Vegas went with the 9.5 point spread. I did not understand that. I did not think that was going to happen. I knew this was going to be 1 or 2 possession game. UConn's too good. Their pedigree's too good. Their coaching staff, their players. I know they were an 8 seed. They weren't going to lose by double digits. And I know Florida over the last, if you include the SEC tournament and the games end the regular season, they were blowing everyone out by 10 points or more. But I just didn't see it last night. No, there's no way. UConn was going to play their game. UConn almost pulled it off. At halftime, it was 31-31. It was anyone's ball game. And you saw in that second half where UConn started to get this lead, 5 points, 6 points, and they had momentum and they were making plays. And you're like, hey, what's going on with the Gators here? And there was a sense, and I was getting on this phone multiple text messages from Gator fans, from guys that cover the team, like, looks like the Gators might be in trouble here. And there was a sense there, you could say around, the 12-minute mark, 10-minute mark, UConn still had the lead, and you're like, all right, this is for real. Gators are in trouble. They got to make sure that they don't blow it. And I think there was, around the state of Florida, I think there was some urgency there, like, this season might come to an end. Even though you won 30 games, SEC tournament championship, you're a 1 seed. Doesn't matter. We talked about that last Monday when we got these brackets. It really doesn't matter. You have got to play your best ball of the season, and whatever you did in the regular season doesn't matter anymore. UConn didn't care. UConn was ready to win that game. But I tell you the difference, as I'm looking at these stats, look, Clayton had 23. He is an All-American, and he showed you last night. 23. He had 2 big threes late that were really, really critical for the Gators. Martin also, 18 points. The transfer from FAU, we'll get to that in a second. Those 2 guys really, really stepped up. Martin had 2 big offensive rebounds. One was for a tip that the Gators got back, then went right back to the free throw line. The other one was off a miss. He boxed out, got the dunk. Martin was fantastic. Both those guys. You look at Clayton and Martin, they needed those guys. The Gators needed them to step up. They stepped up. But the Gators only won by 2. And honestly, if they could have just hit their free throws late, they would have won this game by more. I'd say 6 or 7 points, but they were missing free throws. They really were. And UConn kept having chances, but the Gators survived. And I like Todd Golden where he said, hey, this is where the Gators should be. Sweet 16 and better. This is the standard. That was a big one. That was a big one for the Gators. It really was. Now they're moving on. Sweet 16, and here's the latest at this hour. They're going to play, as we're looking at our notes right now, they're going to play around, it's so ridiculous with this start time, 7:39 Eastern time, Thursday night, TBS. They're going to be there in San Francisco, home of the Golden State Warriors. They're going to be taking on Maryland. 7:39 with the tip-off. I know it's a ridiculous time. It's going to start around 7:45. That's probably what's going to happen. But if you're a Gator fan, I think you dodged a bullet here where this could have been the late game. And I know the late game is going to be Maryland. No, I apologize. They're going to take on Maryland. The late game is going to be who they could take on, Arkansas or Texas Tech. And that game's going to start around like 10:20 or so. So, again, if you're a Gator fan, you really lucked out. You really did. Where this game, you would have to drink coffee, take a nap, and then try to stay up that late. But, yeah, 7:39 with the tip, Thursday night, Gators are going to take on Maryland. And I'm sorry, last night was that one game for the Gators where you're going to have a game where you're not going to play your best, and someone's going to punch you in the mouth. But if you can survive that game, you're going to be battle-tested. And that's what happened against UConn. They won the game. They're going to go beat Maryland. They're going to go to the Elite Eight for a chance at the Final Four. I have no hesitation in my voice. They're going to beat Maryland. They're going to move on. After how they played against UConn winning that game, they're going to beat Maryland. And I know everyone's saying the same question. Did the Queen kid on Maryland, on his buzzer beater, beating Colorado State, was that a travel? Yes, that was a travel. Yes, it was. It was a complete travel. It was. He took 3.5 steps. He hit the shot. I give him credit for that. But that was a travel. Come on, man. You know it and I know it. The question is, if you're the referee in such a big moment on national TV, would you have called that? And in my case, I would have called it. I would have. That's a travel. I'm sorry. Maybe if you were at Maryland, a home crowd, who knows what would have happened? They would have booed you off the court. I think in that big of a moment, I think you have to call the travel. And Colorado State should have moved on to take on the Gators. But they allowed it. They did. I know post-game on CBS, they're trying to explain with the referees in studio. Well, the thing is the possession. Look, man, that was a travel. It was a big-time travel. And it should have been called. Maryland should be home right now. But Maryland's going to take on the Gators. And Maryland's won, 27, 28 games right there in the Big Ten. They're a good team, but I think the Gators are better. I think they're battle-tested. You took on Norfolk State. That's the cupcake starter game. You crush them. You survive a gauntlet of a basketball game against UConn. They'll be ready for Maryland coming up on Thursday night. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to be fine. I really do. And it felt like, the first couple of days, if you look at Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I wasn't that really into the tournament. I just, some of these games were not that compelling. Those games Sunday were compelling. It's like, okay, you brought me back in. That Gator win, the buzzer beater by Maryland, okay, the tournament just got interesting. It really did. And the other big, if you're looking, all right, Gators, the local story. But if you're looking nationally, what's the story at this hour? It's all these big boys that are moving on to the Sweet 16. The lowest seed we have is Arkansas with John Calipari, and they're a 10 seed. It's the first time in, I don't know, what is it, like 14, 15 years, you don't have an 11 seed or higher in the Sweet 16. That's kind of shocking to say out loud. No real Cinderellas. You really don't. You have 7 from the SEC, which is now a record for a conference this late in the season, after they set the record last week, getting 14 teams. 7. in the Sweet 16 coming up. That is incredible. It really is. Then you have teams, Big 12, Big 10, one from the ACC. It's the big boy leagues now. And it breaks my heart to say this. I think if you are a mid-major team, I don't think, and I hope I'm wrong when I'm saying this, I don't think you have a chance now to make a deep run in the March Madness tournament. And that's what made it so sexy and fun for the casual viewer. But you look at NIL, you look at transfer portal, these players, okay, let's say they have a good year at a mid-major, they're going to a bigger school. They're going to get paid. They don't care. I don't blame the players either for doing that. They're going to get paid, and they're going to move on to a bigger school. That's why when I look at like a Steph Curry 15 years ago, he's at Davidson, mid-major. He went there for 4 years, multiple runs in the tournament. If Steph Curry played at Davidson now, he'd play the 1 year there, then he'd go play at Duke or Kansas or one of those types of schools. I mean, you look at the Gators, Elijah Martin, 4-year player at FAU. Remember, he helped FAU get to the Final Four 2 years ago. Now he's helping the Gators try to get to the Final Four. That's the new reality we live in. No more Cinderellas. It's all power teams. That's what it's going to be. And look, if you are a team like, I'm just trying to make an analogy, Florida State, or if you are a Georgia Tech, or you're a Miami, you might be in a situation where, hey, we got really good players. Okay, well, the bigger teams, the Blue Bloods, they might steal your players as well. It is the complete Wild West. But I like the games we're going to have coming up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. So, again, Gators play Maryland, 7:39 with the tip on TBS coming up Thursday night. Be there, be square. So you got that going on. Then tonight there at the Kia Center in Orlando, you are going to have the Orlando Magic. They are going to take on the LA Lakers. The Magic are currently 5 games below 500. I know, boo. They are 33-38. 2 games back of the 7th seed, Atlanta. They're hosting the LA Lakers. It's LeBron. It's Luka. It's sold out. It is going to be a very wild crowd from the standpoint of probably a lot of Lakers fans there, a lot of Magic fans there. They're doing Franz Wagner bobblehead night. I would like one of those for my office. Probably not going to get one. And then also, I know they're putting Dwight Howard into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame, not retiring the jersey. See, it's a 2-prong effect here with the Magic. You go into the Hall of Fame, then they'll probably have your jersey retirement ceremony. So 2 different events. So that's coming up tonight. Magic got to keep winning. I went to the game last Wednesday at home when they lost against the Rockets. Then a couple days ago, who did they beat? Washington, getting the win. Now you got the Lakers tonight. There's 11 games left here in the regular season, including the Lakers game tonight. They got to keep going here. They got to keep going, and they got to get the win tonight. And I know the Lakers, they played the Bulls on Saturday night. It was on late. The Bulls scored 148 points there at the Crypto Staples Center, whatever it's called. So you could see Luka, LeBron, the rest of that team, they are great offensively. They are a terrible defensive team. So if you are the Magic, hey, play your A game, start scoring those buckets, go get the dub tonight. This is do or die time for the Orlando Magic. It really is. And did you see those stats where Paolo, okay, since the All-Star break, he's averaging 30 a game. He's putting up MVP numbers. Paolo, if you're watching, if you're listening, keep it up, buddy. Let's go. Get a big tonight. Get 35 tonight. Have Franz get 27. Go get the dub if you're there at the Kia Center for the Orlando Magic. So Gators play Thursday. Magic play tonight. And you know what's really crazy? Major League Baseball, I think, starts on Thursday. No, seriously, I think it starts Thursday with opening day. Today's the 24th. Yeah, Thursday's opening day for baseball. Even though they played those games there in, what was that, Tokyo, Japan last week when the Dodgers swept the Cubs in a 2-game series, baseball starts later this week. This is a great time of year. It really is. So before we go to some of these great conversations, yes, we are broadcasting live here from the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys. Take control of your life. Take back control of your life. Call them today at 800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys, our official broadcast partner for the studio. That's very key. All right, here's what we're going to do. Got it off my chest here in 15 minutes. Let's hear from my good friend, yes, Mr. Jeremy Shulman, head basketball coach at UTMartin, used to be the coach there at Eastern Florida State College. How did he do in year one? His thoughts on the tournament and more. Let's do that right now here on the Mark Moses Show. They say, like, you see one above water, there's probably a couple under. And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show is one of my great friends here in Brevard County. All right, hold on. We're still trying to figure this out. All right, hold on. I'm doing this as one night in the new studio. I'm going to get this going. We're going to bring up Jeremy, right? Here we go. Here's Jeremy Shulman. This is what happens with live stuff. Is there a moment, Coach, where you're like, yeah, we're not at Eastern Florida? And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show is my good friend and the current head basketball coach at UTMartin, my main man, Jeremy Shulman. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm great. This is phenomenal. I'm so glad we're able to do this. This is just, I mean, it's like old school. It's like 14 years at Eastern Florida. This is great.
You are absolutely right. You texted me over the weekend. You're like, man, this tournament's fantastic. You're loving it right now. But before we get to your thoughts on your bracket, it's been a year now, a full season since I talked to you here on the show. How did year one go for you? Going from Eastern Florida State College there to Division I, there at UTMartin.
All right. Well, first off, we need to make a change on that. Okay. So next year, I absolutely have to be on the show during the season. Like
I agree.
After we play University of Tennessee, or I think we're playing at Creighton next year. So we need to get on the show like after some of those games or after a big conference win or something like that, not just have to wait every year. So but no, phenomenal first year. So much learning. You know, it's funny, when I first got the job, my athletic director, Kurt McGuffin, who's phenomenal. I mean, I think he's the best AD in the country. He told me, he said, "You're going to learn a lot this year." I'm like, yeah. But, you know, I've been a head coach for a while. Like, no, he's like, "You're going to learn a lot." So learned a ton during this year. Learned stuff I didn't even think I was going to have to learn. And it was great, though. It was great.
Was there a moment, Coach, where you're like, yeah, we're not at Eastern Florida anymore? This is the next. And look, I'm not trying to knock Eastern Florida. I love the Titans. I do. But was there a moment taking that step up where it's like, okay, this is Division I basketball?
Okay, there was a lot of moments like that. And again, I love Eastern Florida also, but the first moment had to be our first game at Illinois State. And, you know, it's we traveled to Illinois State. I mean, it's a long drive, travel's a lot harder at the Division I level. Everything's a lot further away. And we go to play Illinois State, and I mean, so many Division I moments, but honestly, the first Division I moment in a good way was we get to our locker rooms and we have a separate coach's locker room separate from our players. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is this is definitely Division I. And then we get ready for the game. You know, I step on the floor for the first time, and it's my first ever, you know, game at the Division I level as a head coach. And I step on the floor, and there's 5,000 people, packed crowd at Illinois State, and the band is right next to us. It's already just deafening out there, and it was just the moment was huge, especially first game coaching after my mom passed, and it was just the emotion of that one. That's something I will always remember for the rest of my life.
I just want to say this. Your mom was a great lady, and I got to know her, and I'm very sad. I just want you to know that. Hopes and prayers to your family. I know it's been a while, but again, your mom's a great lady. I'm sorry she passed away.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, it means a lot. You know, it's one of those things, you know, I thought it was going to be a whole lot easier with time, and I'm sure it will be with more time, but yeah, I miss her. There's no doubt about it. But she was there when I got hired, and so she knew I was a Division I coach. She never got to see, you know, me coaching the game, but she knew it happened. And so she's definitely looking down on me from heaven right now.
Okay, we're here with Jeremy Shulman, head basketball coach there at UTMartin. He was here in Brevard County for like a decade or so, building up Titans basketball. All right, you finished the first season, don't make postseason. I mean, you guys were not in the tournament, and it pains me to say that. I know you as well. Okay, now you're going to go into the offseason, even though it never ends with the offseason. What are your goals then for next year to improve this basketball team?
Well, first thing is obviously we wanted to play in the postseason, but to have the year we had, but we actually swept our SIU SIUE who went
Yeah,
to
who
the
made the tournament?
we actually swept them. We beat them both times. We split with SEMO, who won the regular season conference title, so we're 3-1 against the top two teams. And we actually did get a couple of bids to postseason tournaments, just not the NCAA tournament, not the NIT, but we got a bid to the CIT, which we just decided just financially wasn't worth going this first year. Let's keep, utilizing those resources to build the program up and then make it to the big dance next year so we could be on everybody's bracket. But to take the step from this year to year two and try to win a conference championship, I'm going to be honest, it's not going to be easy. This level is so much more difficult than I thought. It's amazing. I love being here, but everybody's good. Everybody has players. Everyone has unbelievable coaching. Everyone has deep coaching staffs, great scouting. Everyone has their advantages. And we're still trying to figure out how do we take the leap from a very good, successful first year to a great second year where we can win the title. So I don't fully have that answer for you, but I know we have to piece together the right. We only have 3 scholarships left. We need to sign the right 3 guys, and we need to really develop the guys we have here right now, the guys that are young guys coming into year two.
Do you feel like being a JUCO coach for over a decade, where you're constantly with the turnover every 1 or 2 years, recruiting new players, do you think maybe that prepared you for today's reality of Division I basketball, especially with the transfer portal opening today?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think that's one of the reasons I was able to get the job in the first place. This is the new, you said it, this is the new reality of college basketball. And so, I've been doing this for 14 years at Eastern Florida, where we have to have, turn over 75% of your roster every single year. And so hopefully that means we're well positioned to do this moving forward. I mean, we had 13 new players this past year. And so, returning 5 guys plus a redshirt, returning 6 guys, it's going to feel totally different that we actually return some players this coming year. So that's going to be very exciting.
How do you sell your program to a future recruit? I know I ask you this all the time, but now it's there at UTMartin. How do you sell this program to a future player?
I sell a lot like I did at Eastern Florida. It's just magnified on this stage. But I say, if you want to be loved, you want to go to a place that you're cared for, that the coaching staff loves you, your players, your teammates love you. Number one, if you want to be happy and loved, this is your spot. Number two, development, because I know the portal's opening and we'll recruit some out of the portal, but I mean, we've already signed 4 high school kids. No one in the country signing 4 high school kids. We might sign more freshmen as it goes, but we want to develop, right? We don't just want ready-made players. So if you want to come here and develop and become the best version of yourself, that's what it is. And then number 3, winning, because, we've won everywhere we've gone. We're going to win here. We exceeded all expectations first year, even winning as many as we did. And so we're going to win. So those 3 things. Now, Martin's a small town. It's not for everyone, but that's to our advantage, I think, because if you come to Martin, you're truly coming for basketball. You're truly coming for the culture. You're definitely not mistaking Martin, Tennessee for Las Vegas.
No, that's okay. Look, does every player come to you going, I want to play? I don't want to sit on the bench. I want to be part of a team. Do you get that from recruits or transfer players?
It's a little hard for me to answer that right now because we had such a great group of guys and we had young guys come in and we, like any college basketball program, we had guys that didn't play much and we didn't hear a peep. We didn't hear a word. We didn't hear anything from them. They were just so dialed in on getting better and helping the team. Obviously, we're getting that some, but even the at least 3 of the 4 high school kids we signed, playing time wasn't really even in the discussion. It was about the long-term view. It was about development. It was about getting better. And so I'll give those guys credit that they've got, really, really, smart goals in front of them to become the best they can and have long-term career earnings rather than just playing right away. Because I think everyone knows at this point just how old college basketball is. And it is hard for young guys to come in and play from day one. But again, if we're going to go into the portal and get like a grad transfer, a little different. I mean, that kid's probably got to play.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. I love the look on your face when I ask you a tough question right there. You're like, that's it, Mark. How dare you do that?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Keep throwing them at me. Keep throwing them at me.
We're here on the Mark Moses Show with my good friend, yes, head basketball coach, UTMartin, yes, Jeremy Shulman. You look at this tournament, especially you saw the game yesterday where it's Florida and UConn, and then the buzzer beater by Maryland over Colorado State. The coach in you, do you go like, okay, you got to get back on press. All right, you got to do this. Did you see that coaching yesterday with those close games?
So I'm going to be very honest. That's how I used to watch the game. This year was very humbling in a lot of ways also, and just reminded me, like I always know I've got a long ways to go, but this one really humbled me and realized I've got even further to go as a coach than I even realized. And I already thought I had a long ways to go. So instead of looking at it from that aspect, I'm honestly watching every detail on what I can learn, what I can pick up on. Is there an angle on a pivot? Is there, is there a knee flexion that a player has on his jab step? Is there a way that they weight distribute to, be able to initiate contact on the second level? Uh, Team and coaching wise, exactly what are they doing in their gaps? Can I tell just from the screen, is there some extra call that they're making on a switch versus a hard hedge versus a drop? Because like I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing some stuff out there, but I just think I'm trying to learn every detail without being behind the scenes, which is hard because I'm not there at each team's practice. But I would say there was a lot of learning the last 4 days, in addition to the enjoyment of college basketball.
Yeah. And you know what? Hit your free throws. I'm talking to the Florida Gators. Like, isn't that crazy? It's like a thing you learn in grade school, right? You got to hit your free throws.
Hey, don't ask me. We lost an NCAA record 8 games this year by 1 point or overtime. And the common thread in most of those was missing free throws. So don't ask me. Like we work on it all the time. We preach it. We do mental training. We do mental visualization. We pump with confidence. We put pressure on the guys, like whatever it is, like during practice to prepare, we put pressure on them. We try a bunch of different things. We even had a psychologist come in or I can't remember his exact title, and we still missed a lot of free throws and lost 8 games by 1 point or overtime.
You make it sound like you brought in a shaman or some voodoo doctor. Is that what you
Oh,
did?
hey, I am not, I can't make this up. Okay. So we lost those 8. We lost a total of 12 games by 5 or less or overtime. So, as good as we had a good year, I mean, we could have easily had a phenomenal, like shock everyone year had we just won some of these close games. So when it got real bad late in the year, my wife actually called her mother, who's from Ukraine and used to be part of the Soviet Union, and kind of has some different ideas and everything. And so my wife actually went and ordered online like a bunch of like sage to burn and some other stuff to burn.
I
And
like it.
so yeah, so performed like a little ritual to try to get these demons out of here. And so we actually won a couple of close games after that. So we ended up, I think, like 4-12 or something like that in close games. At least that's better than 0-12. So
Okay, I got to ask you this. You play in the same conference as my alma mater, Western Illinois. I think you probably went there when it was snow on the ground. I was confused when you
yes,
went. Okay, do you understand you're on hallowed ground? That's where I'm alumni of the year. Did it feel that way when you went to Western Hall?
it did. It was almost like angelic sounds in the back. I was like, oh, la, 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 la. It was unbelievable. What a special moment. In Illinois history.
That's
It
right.
is up there with like Michael Jordan's last second shot, as a future Bull, back with Carolina. It's like that and Mark Moses stepping on ground at Western Illinois are like the two things that all people from Illinois remember.
Okay, I will update what I said last week. So I have this thing. If Western Illinois ever makes the tournament, I am going. I don't think they've ever made the tournament. So I have like the rainy day type fund for basketball. I will go. I'm going to update this. When your team goes to the tournament, I don't care if it's in Dayton, Ohio, I'm going to that as well. I hope you know this.
That sounds amazing. And that's the plan for next year. We're going to take the right steps and we're going to be there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so SIU Edwardsville. I know it's a mouthful. They won. Congratulations to them. What made them special to win your guys' conference?
Couple things for both them and SEMO, Southeast Missouri, who won the regular season. And the things that made it, they returned, and even in this day and age where it's hard to do, they returned the most guys and they returned the most top guys. So like SIUE, Rayshawn Taylor was a fifth-year senior guard who had been multi-year all-conference, turned down tons of NIL money, and stayed at SIUE just to be a legend there, left as the school's all-time leading scorer. That's hard to do, but they were able to retain some guys and then the other, I mean, they had other than that, the simple stuff. I mean, they had great guard play on both teams. Both teams had a 7-footer inside. Both teams had versatility and tall, long wings. They had shooting, they had defense. I mean, they kind of had the full package, both those teams.
Okay, before I let you go, and I know you're busy, man. Thanks for doing this with me, Coach. Okay, in your bracket? Did you fill out one, or are you too busy? What happened?
So we had to check with compliance to see what we could do. So we were allowed to fill out a bracket, but it had to be with no prize or anything on there, like no
Okay.
money, obviously no prize. So we did one just in the coaching staff, families, kids, wives, all that are in a little bracket.
Okay, I like that. Thumbs up. So I imagine with compliance, they were like, every pick should be UTMartin. Every
If we were in there, if
yes.
we were in there, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
You look at the SEC, 7 teams still around here for the Sweet 16. They had a record 14 in the tournament. The team you took on, Tennessee. Are you proud of this conference? How do you look at it with the current landscape of college basketball?
Oh, I love it. I think it's unbelievable. It might be the best conference in history, though I'm not sure if an SEC team can win it all. I mean, Duke looks like an absolute juggernaut. I mean, I don't know how anyone can beat Duke, but the SEC, it's phenomenal. But Tennessee in specific, that's a little bit special to me because we got to play them at Thompson Boling Arena in front of 25,000 people this year. We want to talk about an unbelievable, humbling experience. And you know what? We actually, with 12 minutes to go, we were like right there. Now, the last 12 minutes didn't go exactly our way, but it was so much fun getting to, compete against those guys. And then I left that game at the time saying, they might be the number one team in the country. Obviously, since then they've got even less depth than when they played against us. So they're not a real deep team. So can they string together 4 more wins after their first 2 and win the whole thing? I don't know. They're just not real deep. They're just not deep at all. They rely on the same 6 or 7 guys the entire time. But I'll tell you, they're a heck of a team, and Coach Barnes doing an unbelievable job with them.
That is really
But
cool.
Florida,
Like you said,
Florida. I know I got to go in a second, but Florida, wow.
I
Florida,
know.
wow.
That was, this. There's always one hiccup. There's going to be one bad game where you get punched in the mouth, and you got to survive that. And they did. So now they're going to take on Maryland. And yes, the Maryland kid took 7 steps when he hit that shot. But that's another story. Okay. Jeremy Shulman, I know you got to go. Thank you so much for doing this. And I hope we can do it again real soon. All right, man?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime.
Great stuff. Always love talking to that fine gentleman, Mr. Jeremy Shulman, good friend of mine. He is now the head basketball coach at UTMartin there in Division I in the Ohio Valley Conference. So good luck to Coach moving forward. All right, here's what we got going on right now. It's nonstop with the interviews, all right, here on a Monday. Here is my great conversation. We did this around lunchtime with my good friend Chris Bonanno with the Viera Voice. Yes, and the head baseball coach at Cocoa High School. Let's hear this conversation right now, talking all things March Madness. On the radio, and now the fine people get to see his face. That's right. He is Chris Bonanno with the Viera Voice and head baseball coach there at Cocoa High School. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's a really nice day out. I wish March Madness was a little more compelling than it has been thus far, but overall, enjoying the tournament, I think, and looking forward to opening day as well.
Okay. All right. We'll start with March Madness then. Then we'll get to your career. Since you made that comment, I kind of agree with you where we haven't had a lot of great games, a lot of blowouts, not a lot of Cinderellas. I think yesterday, and I want to get your thoughts. Yesterday, I think, was the first day where it was kind of interesting with Maryland with the buzzer beater and then Florida beating UConn. Do you kind of feel that way as well, Chris?
Yeah, yesterday was a pretty good day. The Florida UConn game was really good. The Oregon Arizona game late was very good. Obviously, we'd be talking about the Colorado State 3 if it wasn't for the Maryland buzzer beater and the whole did he travel thing today and what have you. But overall, it has not been like that was the first real moment of the tournament was that Maryland shot from Queen. We have one double-digit seed remaining, and it's Arkansas with John Calipari. Not exactly what you'd call a Cinderella. There are no other than that. There are no seeds below a 6 that are still alive. So I think this is my opinion, and I know that there's probably a lot of Gator fans watching. They're not going to agree with me on this, but it's been brought up online that you may see more of this because we're now in the NIL era, right? And so your mid-major players, you get a mid-major player that does well in the tournament, they're going to get gobbled up by a bigger school with the NIL the following year. So you look at there are 4 conferences remaining. They're the Power 4 football conferences. It's the The SEC has 7. I believe the Big Ten has 4, and the Big 12 has 4, and the ACC has 1. I don't think that's good for college basketball at all. I think part of the charm of March Madness is having, if not a Cinderella, then a mid-major. Yeah, and usually, there's the Gonzaga. This is the first time Gonzaga hasn't made the Sweet 16 in quite some time. Usually, you have a few, and it's too hard to say that this is a definitive trend based on one tournament. But it is concerning, and I'd hate for NIL to kind of to and the transfer portal as well, to kind of make this lesser than what it has been, because it's usually a few of the best weeks of the year.
See, you know what's interesting about your answer? You look at Florida Atlantic, who made the Final Four 2 years ago, and their best player was Elijah Martin, who's now on the Gators, right? But he at least played like 4 years there. Then this 5th year, he's going to the Gators. I'm with you. I thought when you saw some of these Cinderellas like an FAU, all right, they're in Boca. Maybe they can get more players to go play for them. But I'm with you, Chris. I think this is the death of these Cinderella teams. Okay, here's my example. Steph Curry, who played at Davidson, right? 4-year starter. If he played now at Davidson, would he last 1 year? Then go?
No, he would have went to Duke or North Carolina, and that would have been the end of it. I don't think you're going to see that anymore. And I think that's really, unless there's maybe you have a father who coaches a team, what have you. You referenced FAU, right? Michigan advanced because FAU's former center is their starting center now. He went with Dusty. Now, granted, he went with Dusty May there, but it's another example. Now, is this good for the power school? Sure, but you're going to contract your fan bases here real quick if you tell them that only certain schools with money have a chance. And I don't think overall that's healthy for the product. I think the same thing applies in football too. Like when you're going to have one team each year make it as a group of 5 team, they're going to get rated. Like it's just the way it is. And you're going to have lower Power 4 schools get rated by the bigger Power 4 schools. So look at my team, Miami, right? Miami lost 3 starters from the previous year, 7-24, and you just got a new head coach. So is that good for the sport? I don't think anybody's playing the violin for Miami. They've got money. But I think overall we're contracting the number of fan bases that think they have a chance, and that's not good. And I think if we're looking even deeper, the SEC and the Big Ten are not good. And I think the Big Ten really going after the Pac-12 is really what obviously started all this. But we've got 11 out of 16 teams that are SEC and Big Ten. You've got them in football wanting to go, oh, we should get 4 guaranteed bids, each. No, that's not good at all. Nobody wants to see that, except the schools in those conferences. So it's sad in a way.
You're absolutely right. I forgot to say Chris Bonanno on the screen. It just says Chris. Maybe you could just be the all-powerful Chris moving forward. No last name needed.
I don't know how powerful I am.
Well, he's with the Viera Boys, also that baseball coach there at Cocoa High School. I appreciate coming on with me. But look, if you are a player, can you blame them if a Michigan or a Bama calls you up and says, hey, transfer here, we'll give you all this money for NIL? I don't. I do it. What about you?
Well, okay, so in most of these cases, right? I think most people know in basketball, if you are a NBA level talent, many of them are leaving after 1 year.
Yeah.
So, in the cases of these kids who are transferring 3rd, 4th, 5th year, I'll give you an example, right? Norchad Omier, he was Miami's probably their best player last year. Okay, he's a big man, but he's a 6'7" big man, right? So probably doesn't have a huge NBA future, but he's a really good college player. And he transferred from Miami to what ended up being Baylor. Can you blame him? Because he's going to get probably a lot of money this year, and he's got to maximize that because he's not going to have that same opportunity playing in Europe or the G League or something like that. So I can't blame him, right? And plus, we have to remember, these are young kids, right? If someone, if you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you say, gosh, who's going to pay me the most money? who among us at that age wouldn't say yes, right? And no one's. I don't think that they're bad people for saying yes either. I mean, right? We it's like you or I. Like if we get a job with a higher paying job, we want to go take that job, right? Like that's all things being equal. So they're not bad people, but I just think it's a rough deal for the fans because, like, and again, I'll use this as an example because I'm a Miami fan. Um, when it became clear Miami was not going to make the tournament, there really wasn't a heck of a lot of reason to pay attention to Miami because you knew the whole team was going to transfer. And if you're not a successful team, you've got to worry about that every year. And even if you are a successful team, you've got to worry about bigger schools, poaching your guys. So it's one of those things that makes it more difficult to follow a team and growth, et cetera, because the rosters just change every year. The turnover has never been greater.
We're with Chris Bonanno. I agree with what you're saying here. I love college basketball. There's a part of me, especially what you said earlier, you look at the rest of the teams. I have the bracket right here. It's like there's no more Cinderellas. It's all these big boy teams. It's just going to be interesting moving forward. I want your thoughts on the Gators then, who got the win yesterday. I kind of felt like, look, this is a game that's going to happen. You're not going to play your best game. You're going to get punched in the mouth, but they survived, and you're moving on. You won. That's all that matters. You won. How did you take out that game yesterday?
Yeah, every team is going to have that game. Well, I shouldn't say every team because UConn kind of cruised last year, but most teams in the tournament, you play six good teams. Norfolk State, but you play six good teams. You're going to have one game where you're pushed. I think when we saw the brackets come out, we said that is, let's call it what it was. It was a made-for-TV game on Sunday to be a standalone game, the defending champions against one of the one seeds in Florida, and it lived up to that. You saw what a great coach, say what you will about his antics on the sidelines. You saw what a great coach Danny Hurley does, getting his team. You still have some of that championship DNA. And you can disagree with a lot of what he says, but when you're the two-time champs, you got to take it from him. They're not going to give it to you. The Gators took it from them. As you look at the bracket, because we talked about there's no easy brackets, but they did. The Gators, I would say, have the easiest road at this point. It's not an easy road, but the Gators have the easiest road at this point against the Maryland team, the Crab Five, right? The highest scoring starting lineup in the country, I believe. And then if they get past that, either Arkansas or Texas Tech, the 2 seed's gone in St. John's, so that's a real big boost for Florida. Still, if you pick Florida, I'd still feel pretty good about where they're at this point. I tend to like teams that survive that game because now they're battle hardened, right? Yeah. I'd feel pretty good if I was a Gator fan this morning.
I'm with you. We're here with Chris Bonanno. Was that a travel by Queen for Maryland? Yes.
Yeah. If you or I did that move in the pickup game, we'd get called for a travel game. It's 3 steps. Like we've gotten to the point, like the Euro step has been embedded into our game. That's 2 steps. That was 3. But if you're a referee, would you have had the guts to call that?
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. When I saw that play, I'm like, look, if this was Giannis in the NBA, he takes 7 steps. They don't call it. And especially in that moment, it wasn't the first half. It wasn't 5 minutes left in the game. The game is on the line. Bang, bang, play. I think you have to call it. That's a whole season right there. And now, look, if you are at Maryland and you call that, they'd be throwing bottles at you. And you're like leaving the court if you're the ref. I think you had to call it. I'm sorry. I love basketball. I think it's a travel. It should have been called.
And for Maryland, Maryland had been you might remember a few weeks ago, Maryland lost on a past half-court shot by Michigan State.
Yeah, you're right.
And they have been the victim of some buzzer beaters. So perhaps they feel like they owe it. It's relevant, obviously, from a Gator perspective. You're 1 shot away from playing the 12 seed Colorado State. I don't think Colorado State would have had much of a shot against Florida. I still favor Florida against Maryland, but it's going to be a tougher test now.
Yeah, Maryland's got some wins on the season. It's not like they're 19-10. No, they got like 25 plus wins. Like they could play basketball. I'm with you. So the question is, Chris, is it all chalk for your final four? How's it going right now with your picks?
So it's really weird because usually at this point, after the first and second rounds are done, everyone complains, "Oh, my bracket's in tatters." Oh, blah, blah. My bracket looks great. I, I, I have. Here's how you know it's been chalky. I have every single Elite Eight team except for St. John's left,
Okay.
and I'm like at the middle or below average in my bracket pools. That's how bad. That's how chalky this has been so far. Um, my final four is intact. Was Florida, Michigan State, Duke, and Tennessee. See no reason to deviate from that at this point. I think when every team plays their best game, if every team does play their best game, it's Duke's tournament to lose, and I think Duke's going to win it all. I think they showed the afterburners yesterday against Baylor. It was a game for about 15 minutes, and then Duke said, "Okay, enough of this. Here's like a 16-0 run," and that was that. They're pretty scary. They do have a very difficult road, though. I mean, Arizona's got a lot of talent that's awaiting for them in the Sweet 16, and if they get past that, potentially Alabama. Although I had BYU in the Elite Eight, so hopefully that pans out. I think Florida's got the easiest draw. They're the only one without a 2 seed right now. But look, it has happened before where we've gotten 4 1 seeds in the Final Four. Do I think it happens? No, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that Florida gets to play at about 7:40 on Thursday night. It could have been bad for us, where tip-off could have been 10:20.
It could have been 10 o'clock on a Thursday. It was
really good.
Very, very easily.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so that's basketball for right now. Real quick, you've done a great job. I know you've worked for multiple publications here in Brevard County. How long have you been with the VR Voice now, buddy, covering stuff?
This is my third stint with them, actually.
Oh.
So this new stint has been about 5-6 months, and I actually also just started working with Everything Brevard, and that's a very new thing. So really looking forward to it. I also work Vera Voice and Senior Life magazine are under the same umbrella. So a lot of big things happening. Just got back actually not too long ago. Health First debuting a new air ambulance today, helicopter. Friday they showed us the progress on the new hospital being built in Merritt Island, which will be completed in 2027. So a lot of big things happening. And I will tell you on Saturday, in a story I'll write for Everything Brevard, I was on an airboat, and I had never really gone on a proper airboat ride before, other than like on a lake. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. A St. John's riverboat tour. I saw, we're talking about the Gators here. I saw probably 200 alligators. It reminds you of, we freak out when we see one on the side of the road. You see 200 and you're in big groups and you're just like, don't go for a swim in the St. John's.
No, because what do they say? Like you see one above water, there's probably a couple under the water. It's not pretty. It's not. I did the one, what is it, Captain Hiram's? You take those boat tours of the Indian River Lagoon. Is that what it is? And yeah, kind of same thing you're talking about. It's pretty crazy. So how can we check out all that stuff online, buddy?
Okay, so VeraVoice.com, Senior Life as well is online, and Everything Brevard is both, and Vera Voice. Vera Voice and Senior Life are monthly publications.
Okay.
As is Everything Brevard, which is also available online as well.
Okay.
So,
I like putting you on the spot on camera, by the way, when you have to answer that stuff. You're a pro, though. Come on, you are.
Anytime, happy to do it. And I want to congratulate you as well on this new format. This is the first time we've talked any number of times, and this is the first time we've done it in this format. So hopefully the ratings, because of my face, don't go down too far.
They'll be fine, buddy. You're one of the best. I'm going to throw you some flowers here. Chris loves sports and he loves the local community. I know meteorologists where you're doing weather stuff and like you're a renaissance man. You're a jack of all trades. I'm trying to throw that out there. Before I let you go. All right. Today is, I'm looking at the calendar here. So March 24th. Is opening day for your Yankees? Is that later this week?
So yeah, it's everybody starts Thursday.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have practice for Coco High during opening day. Who scheduled that? Um, uh, yeah, I might have to record. So it's interesting. I took a look not too long before we came on here at the weather in New York for Thursday because the Yankees are home. And the day before, there's actually supposed to be a chance of rain and snow.
Oh,
So it's a very interesting juxtaposition with opening day compared to the day before there's a chance of snow. It's going to be cold, but the Yankees are going to play, and it looks like the teams in the Northeast, from what I could tell, are going to be able to do that. I'm excited. I'm excited for baseball as a whole. The injury woes with the Yankees, particularly in the rotation, have dampened some of the enthusiasm. But it's the Yankees still have a formidable team, and more than anything, just really excited to watch Major League Baseball again. And in what is this time of year with March Madness, the beginning of baseball, we're getting to the beginning of the NHL and NBA playoffs. This is kind of like one of the best sports times of the year.
Okay, and then see, we're recording this on Monday, the 24th. What's your next Coco baseball game you guys got?
So we are going to host the Rockledge Raiders tomorrow at our field, 6 o'clock, first pitch. It is an absolute joy to be back at Coco High School. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's something that you kind of have to pinch yourself with. I was an assistant coach for 4 years, and to be able to be back there doing this again in the head coach role this time, it's been awesome. We've got 8 regular season games left until we get to the district championship. We'll play our next 5 games on the road. We're going to be taking a lot of road trips to Palm Bay and Orlando and Merritt Island and all that stuff. So, but yes, we're home tomorrow. If you want to come out and watch a ball game, we're going to play Rockledge.
That's going to be really cool. I've told your athletic director, Dave Kintai, that you're a good dude, and don't mess with Chris Bonanno.
I appreciate that. I know he was on not too long after he got hired, and he was he's excellent to work with.
And former Hurricane, by the way. So I know
yes, that we definitely quickly got into that. So it's great to be working with another Cane as well. Although I'm not a graduate of the school, but I'm a fan.
It's okay. Chris Bonanno, thank you so much for coming on. I know we're going to get you on moving forward. Good luck with your game against Rockledge tomorrow, and I hope your bracket's going to be all right moving forward. All right, man?
Me too. Thank you.
Great stuff. Chris is a great guy. I love talking to him. We're going to have to get Dave Kintai on, athletic director there at Coco, and Coach Snyder as well. Both of them, they're both awesome. Yes, we are broadcasting live here from the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys Studios for the Mark Moses Show podcast. Hey, take back control of your life. Call them today at 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Coming up tonight, you got Orlando Magic. Yes, they're going to take on the Lakers, 7 o'clock with the tip on NBA TV, which I like. Yes, good luck to the Magic. They're going to try to win 2 in a row. Gators, like we said, they're going to play coming up Thursday night against Maryland. What does it say? 7:39 with the tip on TBS from San Francisco. I know, like Chris was just saying, a lot of high school baseball and softball this time of year with all these teams playing each other, and it's just opening day of baseball's on Thursday. So, all right, I'm out of time. Thanks to Chris Bonanno with the Vieira Voice and Coco Baseball, and my good friend, former head basketball coach at Eastern Florida, and now the current coach at UTMartin, Jeremy Shulman. Tomorrow, Philip Rostenreich's going to join us with Orlando Magic Daily. We'll recap the game from tonight, and Alan Slaughter-Zinski, Brevard Sports Network. So have a great night. Go Magic tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's right here on the Mark Moses Show.